Could you briefly describe your educational journey? What subjects or activities did you enjoy in elementary school?
In elementary school, okay, so my favorite subjects in elementary school were English, social studies, history, and of course IT.
What inspired you to pursue your specific field within STEM?
I think I chose to work in technology because of the ability to couple it up with so many other things. I studied as well public relations and marketing, so I think the mixture of technology and those fields is really powerful and really interesting. And also the ability to add creativity to technology is really important to me. I like to think of myself as a creative person as well. So being able to use that is something that really drew me to being able to put those things together.
What does a typical day look like for you in your role?
A typical day. So I run my own company. So a typical day for me might not be so typical. It starts with waking my son up, actually. And depending on how that goes, that kind of sets the mood for the day. I get him ready and get him off. And then the first thing that normally happens is a team meeting with my business partner or with the sales team. And then after that, I'm still pretty involved in the day-to-day building of the different technology infrastructures and things that we do. So a lot of hands-on work, building things out, testing, optimizing, then some more meetings with the rest of the team, with the infrastructure team and with the systems team, everything like that. And then maybe some lunch.
Maybe.
if there's time. No, there's always time. You've got to look after yourself. And then in the afternoon, again, it really just depends. I need to be quite dynamic in what I'm doing. So maybe meeting with more people, maybe more building, maybe testing some things, maybe an interview like this. And then I pick my son up. And I try and have that time between when I pick my son up and the evening when he goes to bed, totally disconnected. And then I might jump online, actually, if we've got a few big projects on, and tidy up a couple of things before I go to bed. So that's kind of my normal day during the week.
What do you find most rewarding about your work in STEM?
I think most rewarding about the sector that I work in is being able to pioneer certain things. So being able to try different technologies and different things. And again, the mixture of technology and marketing and communication and everything like that. It's quite an exciting time with, AI and everything like that. So being able to be the first to do certain things and come up with different strategies, I think is the most rewarding part.
Can you share some of the challenges you've faced in your career and how you've overcome them?
Oh, some challenges. So I think I've been quite lucky in my career, but I've definitely faced some challenges in just the culture when I first started working. In English, we say that it can be a bit of a boys' club. So nothing too difficult or direct, but just that culture of, it being a boys' club makes it difficult for a woman, I think, to feel that they can progress and advance, especially in tech. I can't speak to the other areas, but in tech, definitely that's something that was felt when I started, maybe, 10 or 15 years ago. I hope things have improved. So that definitely was a challenge. And also, I think wanting to manage my own schedule and things like that was something that for me personally, not for everyone, but that kind of became important as I got into my career. So being able to do what I've done and creating, my own company and working for myself definitely wasn't easy, but now I get to kind of reap the benefits.
Have you ever felt underestimated or faced significant obstacles because of being a woman in STEM? How did you handle these situations?
So yeah, definitely felt underestimated and undervalued. As I touched on in the last question, I think when I first started, definitely there was an undervaluing of women in tech, and it kind of made it feel like moving up into a position of more, power, so to speak, or prestige was going to be very difficult. Nothing too direct, but definitely many situations of my ideas maybe being overlooked, but then maybe the same idea in the same meeting later coming from a man being praised for, its innovation. And so I don't think anything, malicious or direct was happening. Just the culture, as I described at that time, was a bit like that. And how I overcame that, well, to be honest, there was a time where I did really think about changing careers and changing industries, just because it was a really strong feeling that even though I'm doing really well in what I am currently doing, that maybe there won't, the door isn't so open and welcome to me to advance. So yeah, I will admit that thought crossed my mind, but I think the way I overcame that, I kind of upskilled a little bit and brought in, like I said, that more kind of creativity side of things that I feel like I'm good at as well, and kind of gave myself a juncture of skills that I think it was hard to ignore, that, I was going to be able to be a real asset to certain companies and things like that. So I think that's kind of how I overcame it. And yeah, it's been overcome, I think.
Were there any role models or mentors who influenced your career path in STEM?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe not so much one particular person, but I remember at the tech company that I worked for before I moved overseas. So I'm from Australia, and then I moved to London for a while, and now here in Spain. But there was one woman when I worked there, and she worked in a team of just all men. And I just remember the way that she would walk in every morning and the way that she would kind of command herself. You couldn't tell that kind of culture was there, of this, boys club kind of culture. And I just remember that was my first real look at, oh, okay, you don't need to, just because they think like that, you don't need to think like that. So I think she was my first real role model of just, just persevere. You don't need to change lanes. You just need to, be strong and persevere. And then I think also, seeing a lot of nowadays women founders, the co-founder of Canva, the founder of Bumble is a woman. And so seeing all of these kind of tech founders is really powerful as well, I think.
How important do you think mentorship is in STEM fields, especially for young women?
I think it's really important. I think role models really inform and can really influence decisions that people make in general, but especially women. And I know that when I first started, I didn't see many women in a place where I aspired to be. And I think, like I said, I had doubts. There was a time where I was going to move into a different field. And I think if I would have seen those women there, or even better, had a mentor or someone directly that I could speak to, I think that would have been really powerful. So I think it's definitely very, very important.
How do you manage work-life balance in a demanding field like yours?
Oh, I will admit it's difficult. My situation might be a little bit different because I run my own company. So as a CEO, work-life balance in any field, I think, is really difficult. But I think it's really important. And I think if you prioritize it, then your employer or your colleagues or, your boss, whoever, I think they will naturally prioritize it if they see that you set boundaries and that something that's really important to you needs to be important to them. I think it's happening more and more nowadays that it's becoming a big part of, trying to get good people into your business is offering work-life balance and things like that. So I think as long as, as people and women in this field, we keep making sure that it is important to us, it will be important to the companies that we work for. I know that it's really important for me with my employees. So I think that's how you maintain a work-life balance, is you just make sure that it's a priority.
What advice would you give to young women who worry about maintaining personal and professional life balance in STEM careers?
I think similar to, as I just mentioned, I think we're slowly developing a new culture in all fields, I think, but especially in STEM, where we're showing that it's a priority to us to have work-life balance. So these companies and things like that, or even if you're thinking about starting your own company one day, in order to be able to attract the best kind of people, we're making it clear that it's important to have work-life balance. So I think as long as we keep prioritizing it ourselves, and we can then make sure that, it's respected and there's a culture of respecting that.
In your opinion, why is it important to have more women in STEM?
I think it's really important to have more women in STEM because already women have done some really groundbreaking stuff in their various fields in STEM. So I think it's important to continue that and have that continue. Also, I think women have been traditionally really underrepresented, particularly in science and things like that, testing certain things and everything like that. So I think having that representation there and having women actually behind some of the investigations, some of the research, some of the analysis, some of the testing, I think that will naturally mean that we're more thought of in these processes and that things more geared towards women and not just men, as traditionally has kind of been the case. I think that will naturally happen. So I think that's another reason why it's really important.
What changes have you seen in terms of diversity in your field during your career?
I have now noticed that compared to when I first started, there are a lot more women that I can look up to. There are a lot more women, starting their own businesses or really successful working for, really great companies. So that's definitely something that's different. It's easier to look out there and see someone that looks like me and that, is a woman like me. I think diversity in all ways has become really good, but particularly, for women. I can see them out there, so it's good.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to a young girl considering a career in STEM?
I think my advice would be that we welcome you with open arms, that, we're here and we've got your back. We're going to look after you. There's many of us here now, so come and join us. And if it's something that you're passionate about and something that you think that you're going to enjoy, then I think naturally you will really be an asset to the field. So come on over.
What skills do you think are essential for success in STEM fields today?
That's a good question. I think curiosity. Because I think again, I can speak more specifically to my field, but you constantly need to be learning. And so I think curiosity, stay curious and keep learning and keep improving.
What keeps you motivated and passionate about your work in STEM?
So I think what keeps me passionate is the constant innovation and the constant changing. So every day I can wake up and even though I can be considered an expert in my particular field, there are still things that I can learn. I need to be constantly learning, constantly curious. Every day can be different. I can try new things, be the first to try some things, while still being considered, an expert in what I do. So I feel like that is quite an interesting feeling to have those two feelings at the same time. And I think that keeps me passionate and keeps me going every day.